What's going on, everybody? Good Friday morning. Welcome to this week's NFL Super Wild Card Weekend Predictions. I'm Mason Pesky, your host. As you guys all know, obviously now that the regular season has came to its close, and now we are moving into the playoffs. That means a change in format to this episode. Well, yes, it does, but really it doesn't mean a change in format to this episode because we're still going to do it the same setup. We're going to go back to the week 1 for 17 setup where I'm going to do the probabilities for each of the teams that have made the playoffs. I will not go through their current or projected record though. I will just go through their probability to win the conference and win the Super Bowl at this point. So that's all we're going to do. We'll do that very, very quickly. Then we'll get right into the predictions. All I'm going to do for you guys is final score predictions and probability predictions. Obviously, we will be skipping over the Steelers game just because we'll do that on the Steelers Game Day pregame show. And the other thing we're going to be doing on my Steelers Game Day pregame show is referencing back to this video because I'm going to reveal my bracket for who wins the Super Bowl, who wins everything, according to me for my Steelers Game Day pregame show. Now, some of it, granted, is going to be already wrong or right because of yesterday. The Steelers game is on Sunday. This is Saturday, so we'll just go off the original regardless of what happens. And if anybody says anything, they could just reference this video. So anyway, without further ado, here we go. This is going to be a really quick video, obviously, because every team isn't playing. And we don't have to do fantasy. So it's going to be a quick video for sure. Starting off in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills have a 30% chance to win the AFC and a 12% chance to win the Super Bowl. The Miami Dolphins have a 3% chance to win the AFC, a 4% chance to win the Super Bowl. The Baltimore Ravens have a 45% chance to make the Super Bowl and an 18% chance to win it. The Cleveland Browns have a 10% chance to make the Super Bowl. They have a 5% chance at winning it. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a 2% chance to make the Super Bowl, a 2% chance of winning it. The Houston Texans have a 3% chance of making the Super Bowl and a 3% chance of winning it. The Kansas City Chiefs have a 7% chance of making the Super Bowl and a 6% chance of winning it. That's your AFC. Now on to the NFC. The Dallas Cowboys have a 15% chance of making the Super Bowl, a 10% chance of winning it. The Philadelphia Eagles have a 6% chance of making the Super Bowl, a 3% chance of winning it. The Detroit Lions have a 10% chance of making the Super Bowl, a 6% chance of winning it. The Green Bay Packers have a 2% chance of making the Super Bowl and a 1% chance of winning it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a 2% chance of making the Super Bowl and a 3% chance of winning it. The San Francisco 49ers have a 60% chance of making the Super Bowl and a 25% chance of winning it. The Los Angeles Rams have a 5% chance of making the Super Bowl and a 2% chance of winning it. So that's interesting, that's for sure. Those are my predictions for that. Next week, we will still do it the normal style, just like we did it this week. However, once we get to the conference championships, we will be only doing Super Bowl. And then Super Bowl, we won't do anything because that'll be the game itself. So this stuff is winding down. Alrighty, now on to my predictions for the week. As you guys all know by now, we will be skipping over the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Buffalo Bills game. Who knows if that game's even going to be played in Buffalo? I'll just make a prediction right now. I don't think it will be. I think they're ultimately, unfortunately, going to move that game to Cleveland. I wish it was played in Buffalo, but that's the one prediction for the Steelers I will make this week on this show. I predict the game will not be played in Buffalo. I think it will be played in Cleveland. So, yeah, it's my prediction, unfortunately. All right, now on Super Wild Card Weekend. Speaking of which, we're going to start off with the Cleveland Browns here. They're making the trip down to Houston, Texas to take on the Houston Texans. These two teams met Week 16. The Cleveland Browns won by a final score of 36-22. However, it's important to remember that game was without C.J. Stroud, and it'll be interesting for sure to see what happens. This one will be interesting. I think it finds its way to come down to the wire. However, in the end, I do think the Cleveland Browns are the better team. They're playing really good right now. I would expect the Cleveland Browns to squeak by and win this one. Give me Cleveland 28-24. Cleveland, I got you guys at a 56% win probability. Houston, I got you guys at a 43% win probability. Miami at Kansas City. This will be interesting, that's for sure. I don't think it's as offensive as people think it will be. Just because of the weather there, it's going to be a Saturday night. It's going to be chilly. This game's the Peacock game, so we're not going to be able to watch it really unless you have Peacock or you live in Miami or Kansas City. But it'll be interesting. Be exciting, that's for sure. But in the end, I feel like the Chiefs are the better team, and they're going to be the ones that get the job done. Give me Kansas City 24, Miami 17. Kansas City, I have you guys at a 53% win probability. Miami, I have you guys at a 46% win probability. Steelers and Bills, obviously, we are going to skip over that. Packers and Cowboys. Look, I think this game is going to be closer than most people think. Green Bay always typically finds ways to struggle in Dallas. Dallas, it was vice versa. Dallas always finds ways to struggle at home against the Packers. This week might not be any different. The Packers could be easily the first 7 that goes in and upsets a 2 in the new format. I can easily see that happening. It's staged for the Packers to win. However, I just think Dallas at home is going to be way too much. It's going to come down to the wire. That is for sure. But in the end, I think Dallas at home in the playoffs, round 1, I mean, people are going to lose it down there in Dallas if the Cowboys lose this game. They're going to lose. They're not going to be happy. But I don't think they're going to lose. I think it'll be close, but yeah, I don't think so. Give me Dallas 31, Pack 24. LA Rams and Detroit, the game I'm probably looking most forward to this week. This should be a fun one for sure. Lions in their first ever playoff game at Ford Field. NFC North champs. First time since 1993. Definitely an exciting time if you're a Detroit Lions fan, so give them props. In the end, though, I think this will be a close one. It's going to be high scoring for sure. There's a lot of offense on both teams. Defenses, yeah, not so great, but I think just having the home crowd, Jared Goff's fired up. The Lions are in their good uniform combos. I think the Detroit Lions barely, but get the job done. Give me Detroit 38, Rams 35. Detroit, I have you guys at a 54% win probability. Rams, I have you guys at a 45% win probability. Go Lions. Last but certainly not least, Eagles at Buccaneers. Monday Night Football in Tampa, Florida. This will be a very good, very close game. Philadelphia is limping into this. They're like 1-5 in their past 6 games. Tampa Bay, they struggled last week. They barely beat Carolina. They didn't even score a touchdown against this team. It'll be boring, probably. Not very exciting. But I think it'll be close. And whoever wins this game is going to pretty much be a surfing to be done, I feel like. But give me Philly in this one, just because Philly typically does well in Tampa. They have the better team, and I think they'll be better prepared for this one. Give me Philly 24, Tampa Bay 21. So that's all I have for you guys for this episode. I promised it would be quick. Departure from my 30-minute hour predictions. Typically, these episodes take about 45 minutes to an hour. That's how they were like last week when we had all the teams. Not that way this week, though. Only got a couple teams to talk about, so yeah. But I do want to talk about something real quick here on this. So I did have some other stuff planned already for Mondays with Mason. So I just wanted real briefly to discuss this real quick. Not make a whole separate video on it, so I just decided to do it on this one. As you guys all know at this point, the 24-hour period between 10 a.m. on Wednesday and 10 a.m. yesterday was one of change for the sports world, especially for football. Wednesday afternoon, Pete Carroll, Seattle Seahawks head coach, moved to an advisory role. He will no longer serve as the team's head coach. A little bit later, Nick Saban announced he's retiring. He was the head coach of Alabama football, great run by him. And then yesterday morning, Bill Belichick and the Patriots mutually agreed to part ways. It's the official end of an era. Carroll, Saban, and Belichick no matter what your opinions on them were, you have to appreciate this era, and it truly was one of the best coaching eras ever. I mean, but yeah, I agree. At some point, it's time for change, and I respect these men for what they did. They were definitely great for the football community, but again, it was time for something new. And I wish them nothing but the best, and I hope their successors do very well. I did see the Patriots hire Jerod Mayo to be their next head coach, so congratulations to him. So, yeah, that'll be interesting for sure to see how that happens, and we will go over all that and more in my season predictions video, which will not be up until September 3rd, so a long ways away till that. We'll also go over it somewhat too in my off-season plan for all 32 teams video. That will be coming out though sometime in February, likely mid to late February. It'll be after the Super Bowl, so I'm thinking late February. So just keep an eye out for that one. That is for sure. So I have for you guys today. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. Pray for Israel. And as always, peace. See you guys next week or on the postgame show.